Money Vikings, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you're all doing really well and enjoying a wonderful fall. Happy November as we head into the end of 2023. I wanted to do a special of new rules for money for 2024. Now, they're not all new rules, but I want to give an overview of how I'm seeing things as we wrap up 2023. And not that they're predictions, but I do like to look at macro trends and think about how I'm going to set things up for 2024. So that's what this is all about. So with that, first, let me grab my glasses I have right here because sometimes I can't see. All right, so anyone who has been investing over the last few years can tell you it is a strange time, to say the least. Pandemics, lockdowns, constant doom and gloom in social media, meme stocks. That's all in the distant past now, but now there's geopolitical events. Now there's discussion of debt being too high, discussion of high valuations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's very interesting. You know, in a lot of ways, it looks like the Fed is going to let off the gas a little bit. Not going to be hiking interest rates anytime soon. It seems that their actions are now catching up to the economy and starting to show an effect, which is neither good nor bad. I guess the idea is that they avoided some hyperinflation scenario, but at the same time, it's definitely slowing down the gears and the engine of the economy. Great example of that, and I did an earlier video on this, is housing. So real estate market to me seems stuck in the mud. Prices still too high and interest rates high. Nobody can really afford it. Owning a home is an extremely costly thing to do in the best of times. And if prices and everything is sort of stuck in the mud, you know, it just is what it is. So we're going to see how that breaks loose over time. But anyway, in this article, I'd like to lay out or in this video, I should say, I'd like to lay out my new rules for money and wealth building for 2024. This is not investment advice, of course, but these are things that I'm going to be looking at doing. Now, let's do a quick look back. The pandemic era saw an all-time high for overall net worth for most people. So, in fact, the average family's net worth jumped 37% from 2019 to 2022 to an overall average of $192,000. So a lot of people saw their net worth and all their assets balloon, but that has all come back down to earth. And then in addition to that, inflation is extremely straining family budgets. So all that pandemic money's gone, pretty much burned up or lost value, and it's been used. So where do we go now? And I got my Guns N' Roses shirt on, so you can think about the song, Where Do We Go Now? And how best to prepare for 2024. So my first rule for 2024 going in is once again, it has to do with inflation defense systems, but cost cutting is critical. So the people that I think are dealt the most damage during recessions or during difficult financial times are those that are extremely over leveraged, right? So they've just got too much consumer debt. They've got the boat and the toys and the house that's too big and the car loans and the student loans and the loans for the vacations and the clothes and the credit card debt, et cetera, et cetera. All that stuff starts to pile up. There's a tipping point where it breaks and people just cannot service their debt anymore. And so that's when you see things like foreclosures and stuff. So cost cutting, if you're into wealth building, is critical right now, and you got to find those ways to trim costs. Okay, so number two, for 2024, I do believe that the inflation fever will break. I think we're definitely now starting to see that come down, but we're not out of the woods. You know, stuff is just overall, everything is just expensive. As we know, the biggest things that people pay for, housing, that's extremely expensive if you want to live in a nice neighborhood. And medical, health insurance is expensive. Just all kinds of stuff. So it goes on and on. Schooling is still expensive. Education is still expensive. Groceries are still expensive. So even if inflation comes down, which I think it will, it appears to be happening, a lot of the damage has been done as far as I can tell. So that's number two, is just keeping up the inflation defense systems. Okay, number three, quality, quality, quality. So unfortunately, a flight to quality of late has not totally buffered investors from market turbulence. But I believe over the medium and long arc, this will change. So I still think we are coming out of the meme stock era, and all that's over. And I think it's just we got to get back to fundamentals, back to balanced budgets, back to companies that actually make a product that people want, that adds value. These companies are continuing to grow and find ways to cut costs, find ways to improve the value of their products to their consumers, and find ways to get it to consumers at a reasonable price, and then make profits off of that. So those quality companies, I think, are going to do just fine over the long run. So I'm sticking with that in terms of overall portfolio construction. So that's number 3, quality, quality, quality. My number 4 theme for 2024 is to be comfortable with turbulence. So I think we're starting to get comfortable with it because it's kind of been the way for a while. But from this point for a while, investing appears to be a bumpy ride. I still believe in long-term potential. Strong companies are going to continue to innovate and grow, and consumers are always going to chase value to their lives. But I think the market itself is just going to be neurotic for some reason. And I don't know if it's because of social media or because of AI or because of, algorithms that are trading stocks. I don't know why, but I just think it's going to be really up and down. Again, Mr. Market on a daily basis is neurotic, and he's either completely high out of his mind or he is completely down in the dumps and depressed. There's no sort of even keel with him. So I'd be careful about that, and just imagine, again, in the long run, you're trying to own assets that will appreciate in value of strong, solid companies, and hopefully the overall market. That's why I'm a big fan of the ETF baskets. Okay, so that is a good segue into number 5. I'm going to continue to diversify strategically. We clearly live in an era when one moment a specific stock or specific, sort of sector can be the market darling, and literally the next week it's in the dumps. And so almost with flimsy reasoning, it's just, it's a typical manic depressive nature of the stock market right now. But I still believe that the main way for investors to deal with this is through strategic diversification. And I want to emphasize the word strategic. I'm not saying own a little bit of everything and just spread load randomly. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying put a little thought into it and look at the macro forces at play. Look at the macro forces in play in the United States. Look at what industries are on a growth path, growth potential. It comes to mind things like, you have a lot of aging societies. It makes me think of things like healthcare and pharmaceuticals. Well, there's going to be a lot more of that in the future as the macro trends grow in that direction. Think about things that are going to be disrupted by AI, for example. There's certainly a lot of stuff out there that's going to be disrupted by AI. So I would say check out my Ride My Bike portfolio. I'll put a link here to it. I did a whole video on it, but I go through every aspect of how I allocate assets. So you can think about it that way. Some of them hard assets, some of them, mixtures of stocks and bonds, etc. Okay, my 6th theme for 2024 is I'm still going to stay US centric. I think there's too much turmoil and unknowns in the world right now. There's conflicts popping up and there's conflicts brewing. That old saying, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. Well, a lot of times these wars have externalities that are just awful for humans, and it can really impact economies and companies. So I'm staying US centric because in the North American and the American hemisphere, you don't have these types of conflicts that you're seeing, on the eastern edges of Europe and of course in the Middle East. So again, I'm staying US centric. There seem to be opportunities in Japan right now. I haven't done a deep dive on that, but my focus is long-term, kind of a Warren Buffett thing, is to be US centric. So my last and 7th theme for 2024 is, I'm not getting any younger, so I'm going to keep health a priority. I'm going to continue to do the health videos and the health articles for all you guys and for all of us. Check out some of our videos, 5 heart health habits, etc. But just implementing a few of these into our lives, I think, makes a big difference. No one's perfect. No one has a perfect diet or perfect exercise regimen. But if we can continually get ourselves back to the fundamentals, I think we will grow and be healthier and healthier over time. So as we get older, I think it's a big deal. But those are my top 7 themes for 2024. Tell me if there's any others that you're looking at, specific things or even just macro trends. I'd love to hear it. Put it in the comments there. And as always, if you get some value out of Money Vikings, please like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Would love to grow this channel over time. All right, everyone, have a good one, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.